Welcome, my little couch potatoes, to the comfiest courtroom on the internet. I'm your host, Llama, and it's time for dramatic testimony, overruled objections, and absolutely unqualified opinions. So grab your snuggiest blanket, some delicious snacks, and get ready to watch court with your internet besties. This is Couch Court with Llama, After Dark. Hello, everyone. We're now into week 3 of the U.S. versus Sean Diddy Combs trial, and there are no cameras or video allowed, but every news network around the world is there. Tonight, we're going to go through the updates provided by the Washington Post and their amazing team of journalists who are inside of the courtroom. Now, if you haven't yet, please like this video to appease our lovely YouTube gods, and be sure to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss when we go live or drop a new episode. Now, before we get started, by the way, I just want to congratulate Cassie Ventura and her husband, Alex Fine, who just welcomed their baby boy into the world. This is their 3rd child together. They have a beautiful family, and I hope they get to enjoy some private time with their family. All right, let's get started with day 11 of the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial in New York. So, the government wants to question stylist Deontay Nash on Wednesday about a time Cassie Ventura, one of his clients, told him she was upset that Sean Combs was making her do a freak-off on her birthday. This could be relevant to the government's case that Ventura felt coerced or forced to participate in these sex acts for Combs. Now, the defense team is now objecting to this plan, of course, arguing that the stylist's conversation with Ventura wasn't raised when Ventura testified. They say prosecutors notified them of Nash's planned testimony as part of a voluminous amount of material, which made it easy to miss. Now on the stand is Christopher Ignacio, a Los Angeles police officer who responded to Kid Cudi's home break-in report in 2011. Ooh, okay, let's see what he has to say. Ignacio testified that a black Escalade with tinted windows was parked outside Cudi's home in the Hollywood Hills when he arrived. It drove off a short time later. Ignacio said he couldn't see who was in the car, but the license plate was registered to Sean Combs' company. After 15 or 20 minutes, Ignacio said the same Escalade drove back down the hill past Cudi's home. His testimony might corroborate former Combs assistant Capricorn Clark, who testified yesterday that she was in the vehicle with Combs outside Cudi's house, and that Combs chased Cudi's car shortly before the police arrived. Defense attorney Brian Steele is now picking apart details from the LAPD officer Christopher Ignacio's testimony about the break-in at Kid Cudi's house. Steele asked the officer if he noticed Cudi's black Porsche or saw a car chase when he arrived at the home. Ignacio said he saw a black Cadillac Escalade, which was registered to Sean Combs' company, but did not see a Porsche. In a brief cross-examination, Officer Ignacio confirmed that he didn't see any property disturbed when he arrived at Kid Cudi's house. In the words of defense attorney Brian Steele, there was no furniture upended and no bullet holes in the walls or notes of threats, because, you need that. I mean, he unwrapped the man's Christmas gifts. How is that not a law-breaking person? Why would you do that? Violate the laws of Christmas. Ignacio said Cudi, whose real name is Scott Muscudi, was cooperative but flustered after the alleged break-in, which police investigated as a trespassing. The government has now called Lance Jimenez, an arson investigator and firefighter, to the stand. The attempted firebombing of Kid Cudi's black Porsche could have been much worse had the perpetrators used more basic materials, fire investigator Jimenez testified. Jimenez determined that a homemade firebomb, also known as a Molotov cocktail, caused the car fire in 2012. Typically, with such weapons, a bottle full of flammable liquid is stuffed with a cloth and set aflame. But Jimenez testified the designer type handkerchief in this case was made of a silky type material that fell out of its 40-ounce old English malt liquor bottle. Sorry. As a result, the bottle didn't explode and the gasoline didn't disperse, he said. So they're using an old English malt liquor bottle and then put what is a very expensive, probably handkerchief in there. It didn't do anything because it was too nice. Oh my gosh. Okay. Was not expecting that. That's the thing about this trial, you guys. Every day, something outlandish comes out, and you're just like, what? What did I just read? What did I just hear? Yeah, you heard. You heard right, you guys. Had the bottle broken as intended, Jimenez said, the damage to the car would have been far worse, and fire could have spread to the surrounding vegetation and Kid Cudi's home. Sean Combs' lawyers plan to cross-examine Jimenez about the DNA and fingerprint evidence retrieved from the scene of a car at Kid Cudi's Hollywood home in January 2012. The judge has overruled the government's objections to this line of questioning, so prosecutors are prompting Jimenez to talk about his lack of experience on such matters. Jimenez testified that although he requested that various items be tested, including the Molotov cocktail remains and a recovered lighter, he was not sufficiently trained in DNA or fingerprint collections and wasn't involved in that part of the investigation. He added that over the course of his 20-year career investigating fires, he has had very few hits with DNA. And that's true. There's a reason why people set crime scenes on fire. That's one of the big reasons. Fire investigator Lance Jimenez said fingerprint cards in the Kid Cudi car bombing investigation were destroyed without his knowledge in 2012 on orders from a Los Angeles police officer who was not part of his team. What? Interesting. Okay. Jimenez was starting to testify that it was unusual for evidence in one of his investigations to be destroyed without his knowledge when the defense raised objections to this line of questioning. The court is now taking a break. I agree with Jimenez. What? That's interesting. Interesting. All right, so the court is now on a break. The judge said he would ask the jury to disregard testimony about the destruction of fingerprint cards in the investigation into Kid Cudi's car bombing after Combs' attorney declared the government's line of questioning about the incident to be outrageous and prejudicial. I think if things got destroyed, that's outrageous. But okay. They knew exactly what they were doing, defense attorney Mark Agnifilio said during a sidebar while the jury was out of the room. Prosecutors argued that the destruction of the fingerprints was absolutely relevant to their questioning of arson investigator Lance Jimenez. Because those cards were destroyed, there was no evidence connecting people to the scene of the arson. But the judge seems to have sided with the defense on this one. Interesting. Okay. Now, just before court resumed, Sean Combs, wearing a navy sweater and white collar shirt for the second day in a row, turned and motioned to his sons, Justin Combs, Christian Combs, and Quincy Brown, who arrived late for the morning's testimony. Now, Sean Combs' defense said it would move for a mistrial based on prosecutorial misconduct, but the judge denied their motion. The defense took issue with Jimenez's testimony about the destruction of fingerprint evidence in the case of the firebomb attack on Kid Cudi's Porsche. Cudi, he believes Combs was involved, and arson is one of the crimes prosecutors allege Combs committed as part of a racketeering charge. I mean, who else could it be? Honestly, this kind of is on brand, but nonetheless, here we are. The judge has already moved to strike the investigator's testimony about how fingerprint cards from the investigation were destroyed without his knowledge, which he called unusual. Defense attorney Alexandra Shapiro said the government was trying to imply that Combs had ordered the evidence to be destroyed. I mean, I'm saying that seems like it could be. And the testimony was prejudicial enough to warrant a mistrial because even if the testimony was struck, it would prejudice the jury. There's no way to unring this bell, Shapiro said. I mean, you guys leave a comment in chat if you think that Diddy paid a cop up to destroy these things. I mean, allegedly, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments. Anyway, let's keep going. The debate over the destroyed fingerprint cards raged on a bit longer over how the judge will instruct the jury to disregard testimony they heard minutes earlier. Now, Combs' attorney Shapiro asked the judge to tell the jurors that questions the government asked before the break were improper. The government objected to any language that would impugn its prosecutors in front of the jury. The judge said he will instruct the jury to disregard testimony about the destruction of cards because it is irrelevant. Is it though? But he will not call the questions that elicited the testimony improper. So, arson investigator Jimenez said the case of the 2012 firebombing of Kid Cudi's car remains open, but attempts to reach out to people of interest went nowhere. So, let me get this straight. This has still remained open, but fingerprint cards were said to be destroyed by an LAPD officer. What? Okay. Jimenez said Cudi gave him several names of people to talk to after the fire. He testified that he reached out to Capricorn Clark, an associate of Sean Combs, about a half dozen times, but she never responded. Jimenez said he also reached out unsuccessfully to Cassie Ventura, including through a family member. In his view, Jimenez said the fire was set deliberately and was targeted. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio is now cross-examining the firefighter. A black glove found splayed on the driver's side seat of the Porsche was a focus for defense attorney Agnifilio as he cross-examined Jimenez. Asked why he never submitted the glove for forensic testing, Jimenez said the glove belonged to Kid Cudi. Agnifilio asked if perhaps the person who lit a makeshift bomb would use a glove, supposing that the bottle would get hot. Jimenez corrected him. The lit cloth would be hot for the person holding it, he said, but the bottle would not be. I mean, I would think somebody would use a glove to hide fingerprints, but now we know there's fingerprint cards, so that were destroyed. Okay. The government has called, I guess that was the rest of that guy. So, okay. The government has now called celebrity stylist Deontay Nash to the stand. When asked by a prosecutor if he wanted to testify, Nash responded, absolutely not. Don't blame the guy. Oh my gosh. Deontay Nash said he was very close to Cassie Ventura when he worked as her stylist between roughly 2009 and 2018, and that he saw her interact with Sean Combs at least once a week. Nash said Combs would call Ventura by various names, including baby girl, Cece, Cass, bitch, slut, hoe. Nash said he remembered Combs calling Ventura a bitch quite a bit. And that was his fave, he said. What a stand-up guy Combs is. Stylist Deontay Nash testified that Sean Combs would frequently threaten Cassie if she didn't do as he said. He said that Combs threatened to get her parents fired or send them her sex tapes or withhold her music from release. Combs would sometimes be calm, sometimes irate, but always firm when issuing these threats, Nash testified. Before the court took its lunch recess, Nash elaborated on Combs' control over Ventura's career. The stylist was frequently with Ventura in the studio, he said, so much that they once decorated it and slept there regularly while she recorded new songs. When asked by the government how much of that music Combs would allow to be released, Nash estimated that it was about 10% as a generous estimate. Now, after lunch, court is back, though both sides are going over evidentiary issues, so the jury has not been called back in yet. The topic is expected testimony from Maya. the court's pseudonym for an alleged victim of Sean Combs who worked as his assistant. The government would like to ask Maya about the day Kid Cudi's home was allegedly broken into in 2011. Maya was at Combs' house that morning and could talk about the mood at the home, as well as email exchanges about the incident. Defense attorney Brian Steele said some of that testimony veers into trial by gossip, a phrase he borrowed from the judge himself. The judge decided to limit some of Maya's testimony based on the defense's objections. So it seems like defense is winning a lot of things today. Deontay Nash, who said he was had a very close relationship with Cassie, is back on the stand. Before the lunch break, Nash was giving examples of how Combs controlled even the finest details of Ventura's career, including how she wore her hair to a Vanity Fair post-Oscar party. He picked up his testimony detailing threats Combs allegedly made, including not releasing Ventura's Little Mix tape if she kept having a smartass mouth, as Combs put it, according to Nash. Sean Combs once punched and kicked Cassie until her head started bleeding, according to the testimony of Nash. Under questioning from Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Comey, Nash described an encounter in 2013 and 2014 when he and one of Combs' assistants, a woman who was referred to in the court under the pseudonym Maya, attempted to stop Combs from attacking Ventura in her Los Angeles apartment. Combs had entered the unit upset, saying to Ventura, "Bitch, didn't I tell you to answer the phone?" Nash recalled. He described seeing Combs grab Ventura by the hair, pull her off the couch, and start hitting her. Ventura, Nash, and Maya tried to escape into the bedroom, Nash said, but Combs burst in and continued to attack Cassie with his fist and feet. Nash and Maya tried to stop Combs by jumping on his back, but they were thrown to the floor, the stylist testified. Jeez Louise. Combs continued to hit Ventura until a few seconds after her head hit the edge of the bed frame and started to bleed profusely, Nash said. When he noticed the blood, he just panicked, Nash said. He said Combs then told them, "Look what y'all made me do." Oh, really? Oh, really, sir? This guy. Do not like him. Nash said he tried to call 911, but was immediately told to hang up. He said he couldn't remember by whom. I think we know who it probably was. Combs' attorneys are hoping to subpoena documents related to Cassie Ventura's settlement agreement with the Intercontinental Hotel, where March 2016 surveillance showed Combs dragging and beating her, according to court letters filed today. Combs' lawyers noted that during Ventura's testimony in the trial's first week, she said she had contacted the hotel and received a $10 million settlement offer. Quote, Miss Ventura clearly had a financial incentive to frame the facts in a certain light throughout the government's entire investigation, the defense team wrote. The requested documents would reveal the extent of that incentive. We all saw the video. We all saw the video. But okay. Ventura's lawyers opposed the subpoena, arguing that the attorneys knew about the settlement beforehand and failed to ask Ventura about it during their nearly 2 days of cross-examination or assess any purported credibility issues it might arise. They chose not to investigate this matter further and have waived any ability to do so now. The government also objected to the subpoena. Now, the hotel incident, in case you don't know, first mentioned in Ventura's sexual assault complaint against Combs and later corroborated by security footage, has been central to the prosecutor's case. They accuse Combs of sex trafficking Ventura and other women and have charged him with racketeering conspiracy for incidents that include allegedly trying to bribe an intercontinental security guard who we did hear from. Now, back to today's testimony. So Deontay Nash appeared to corroborate key details of Cassie's testimony as he testified about the threats Sean Combs made to Ventura and told the jury that Combs attacked him too a few times. He described an incident when Combs came to Ventura's apartment and ordered her and Nash outside. Nash said he saw Combs berating Ventura, telling her that she fucked up and he was going to put her sex tapes on the internet after sending them to her parents. Ugh. When Nash tried to console Ventura, he said she told him the video showed her having sex with other guys, something she said she didn't want to do. Key to the case against Sean Combs is the prosecution's contention that he coerced Cassie Ventura to have sex with male escorts at freak-offs, contrary to the defense team's suggestion that she enjoyed the group's sex events. Deontay Nash's testimony might help the government, as the stylist recalled several instances in which he said Ventura expressed her dislike of the freak-offs. These included Ventura's 29th birthday, which she previously testified about, telling a jury that Sean needed her to participate in a freak-off that night despite her protests, because he gives the best birthday gifts ever, apparently. Just kidding. He makes it all about himself. I think she just wanted to do karaoke, if I remember right. The birthday night started out at a restaurant in Los Angeles, Nash said. He said he overheard Combs complain to Ventura, "You can't do this one thing for me." Ugh, gross. When Nash asked Ventura about the exchange, she told him, "He's just mad because I don't want to go to the hotel and freak off with him," Nash recalled. It was the first time Nash heard her use the term in that way, he said. The party moved to a karaoke venue, that's what I thought, the Blind Dragon, and then several people, including Nash, Combs, and Ventura, went back to her home. There, Ventura told Nash that she and Combs were going to a hotel and that Combs was making her do that shit, Nash testified. He said Ventura and Combs both appeared to be high, and Ventura more so than Combs. Ventura had testified that she would take drugs to disassociate from the freak-offs. Like other former employees of Combs, Deontay Nash described a complicated ongoing relationship with his ex-boss. He said he and Combs have kept in touch through texts and phone calls, and that the tone of the messages has been loving. Questioned how he could maintain a relationship with a man who allegedly assaulted him and his close friend, the stylist said, "This man's sanity was my safety. It was just what I was used to. I don't hate him," Nash explained. "It's just not in me." Okay. Deontay Nash said he also remained close to Cassie Ventura, but that neither had shared the substance of their testimony against Combs. The stylist also testified that he was a very reluctant government witness, saying that he left meetings with prosecutors early and didn't volunteer any information, merely confirming specific events they asked him about. I mean, I don't blame him. Again, Combs is a very threatening guy. I'd be nervous too. While the jury was on break, defense attorney Xavier Donaldson told the court he likely would not be done cross-examining Deontay Nash by 4, which was not well received by the judge. The judge said Donaldson should have raised this earlier before the court decided to let testimony go later than usual so that Nash could finish his testimony and catch a flight back to Los Angeles. Prosecutors noted that Nash has not been combative on the stand and that some of Donaldson's questions appeared less than pressing, such as, "How would you define stylist?" Okay. Oh, the judge quipped, referring to a line of questioning Donaldson had pursued. Now, Nash returned to the stand wearing a black and yellow bomber jacket. It's unusual attire for the witness stand, though we have seen a black leather jacket and white shirt, courtesy of Kid Cudi, who testified last week. It's freezing in here, Nash announced to the room, unprompted. Fair, fair. How y'all do this all day? Followers of this live feed will know that the chilly temperature of the courtroom has come up before. So there have been complaints by people. Now, Xavier Donaldson, Sean Combs' attorney, complimented the jacket after the jury returned to the room, asking what size it was. Oh, look at them just being BFFs. Not your size, Nash replied. Oh, gosh. Okay. So that wraps up Dante Nash's testimony for today, but he will be back on the stand tomorrow morning, where Donaldson, the defense attorney, needs to finish his cross-examination, because the judge had promised to excuse the jury by 4 and made good on his word. Though the jury may be out, but court is still in session though. The government said it next plans to call Maya. All right, we know that's an alias, but they're a former assistant to Sean Combs, and expects that her testimony will last until the end of the week. If time allows, the prosecutors will also call Enrique Santos to the stand. Now, Xavier Donaldson's cross-examination of Dante Nash was described as less than riveting, gouging by some of the reactions in the courtroom this afternoon. Sean Combs' attorney, Brian Steele, was seen nodding off. Ugh. 2 jurors appeared to roll their eyes at Donaldson's questions, which sometimes felt repetitive. At one point, Christian Combs rested his head on his grandmother, Janice Combs' shoulder. There was one moment that appeared to wake up the room, though, when Nash quipped that his jacket was not your size after Donaldson asked him about it. I guess Nash's response drew laughter from some of the jurors. Now, today's court session concluded with Mark Agnifilio, the lead counsel for Combs, pleading for increased access to his client, who is being held in a Brooklyn jail. Currently, the defense team only has access to his client until 7 p.m., forcing them to make decisions without him. Oh, no. Oh, no. That isn't really right, Agnifilio said. The issue came up after the judge asked the defense to submit its exhibits earlier. The government, meanwhile, reiterated that it was ahead of schedule in presenting its case and planned to cut witnesses. Oh, wow. Prosecutors hope to rest their case by the second week of June. Oh, so we might end up ending before July 4th. Very interesting. Okay, you guys. Well, that was all something. That was okay. Oh, we know not to make a Molotov cocktail with a very fancy handkerchief. Don't do that. Don't make it silky. It's not going to work out for you. Oh my goodness. What a wild day in court. I can't wait to see how the rest of the week's going to go. All right, you guys, that's all I got for you tonight. Couch potatoes, please leave me some comments under this video letting me know what you think about all this, because I can't wait to know. I read them every morning before I go live on Couch Court with Llama during the day. And I'm so glad that other people find things as oddly hilarious as I do. So I appreciate all of that. Now, you guys, we will be releasing these every night that court is in session. So if you've enjoyed our coverage, please hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss when we go live or drop one of these episodes. And share it on social media. Why not? It's free and it's much appreciated. You can also find all of our Diddy coverage in our USA versus Sean Diddy Combs playlist. Now, I will see you all, my little couch potatoes, bright and early tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. on Couch Court with Llama for more of the Karen retrial. And it's going to be spicy, I think. Thank you all for being here with me. And until next time, everyone, go forth and be amazing. Good night, everyone. Bye.